Can depression be genetic? Right now, we are going to learn why your depression isn't your fault. When someone is struggling with depression, they often blame themselves for their condition. We often think that our poor life choices, faults, mistakes, and failures all led us to feeling the way that we feel and being the way that we are. This self-blame only makes depression worse. But what if your mental state isn't the result of any choice that you've made or of any shortcomings that you may have? A Stanford study determined that genetics do influence depression. They studied patterns of depression in twins, and guess what they found? They found that when one twin suffered from major depression at any point in their lives, the other twin had also experienced major depression 40 to 50% of the time. This study, along with many others, back the theory that some people are born more likely to suffer from the condition than others. Scientists believe that depression is not caused by a single gene, but rather multiple genes that interact and create a higher risk for depression. About 10% of the general population experiences depression at some point in their lives. But someone who is genetically predisposed to depression has a risk of up to 50% of struggling with depression at some point in their lives or at multiple points in their lives. That's 5 times greater than the general population. Depression can also be caused by non-genetic environmental factors such as trauma, loss, abuse, and dealing with severe illness. People at high risk for depression are also more easily triggered into depressive episodes by life stresses and traumatic events. So, how do you know if you're genetically predisposed for depression? The best way to determine if you are genetically prone for depression is to examine your family tree. If a parent or sibling has experienced depression, the chance that your depression is genetically linked increases substantially. If a parent or sibling has experienced reoccurring depression, experienced it more than once, there is a very strong chance that your depressive tendencies are genetic. Depression and anxiety can often be traced back through several generations and oftentimes on both sides of your family tree. Reoccurring depression and early onset depression, like childhood and teen depression, are also very strong indicators that you have an elevated risk. If you determine that you are most likely genetically predisposed to being depressed, this means that you're not responsible for your condition. Let go of any self-blame that you may have been placing on yourself for your thoughts. Let go of all that guilt. Let go of any self-hatred for thinking the way that you think and for feeling the way that you feel, because none of it is your fault. But now that you fully understand the cause, you can be responsible for changing it. Or if maybe by watching this, you've discovered that your depression was most likely brought on by environmental factors and not by genes, you are also not responsible for your depression. Depression is never anyone's fault. It is a negative thought pattern triggered by stressors, and some are just more easily triggered into it than others. But now you're thinking, if I'm genetically made up to be depressed, how can I ever end my depression? I can't change my genes, and I can't change who I am. Well, I am someone who struggled with lifelong extreme depression, genetically caused. But I educated myself, and I found a way out. I made specific changes, and I found things that actually work, and I conquered my depression. I want to help you step by step and thought by thought to break free. So let's move on from knowing the cause to finding the solution. Continue on to the next Rewired Happy video where we discuss groundbreaking genetic research, how to alter your genes, and how to break the depression cycle. Don't forget to subscribe. We are Rewired Happy, one thought at a time.